Hello, this is Matthew Davidson. I've been on YouTube off and on for, I don't know, 10 years or so, um, posting mostly religious videos and occasionally some personal stuff, some music and different things like that. But today I want to talk about something else, and it's something that this country is turning, it's becoming a humongous issue. And it doesn't really have to be a humongous issue, but it is. Um, a few days ago, Barack Obama, our so-called president, declared that he was going to make an executive order that would curtail gun rights of people and to make, according to him, common sense restrictions and background checks and different things, which really have nothing to do with stopping criminals. That doesn't stop criminals even 1%, not even 1%. And this issue is becoming probably the biggest thing out there right now. It's overridden gay marriage. It's overridden all these other issues. And the funny thing about it is that it's a basic issue that shouldn't even be something that politicians have anything to do with at all. I understand that there are criminals out there, and I understand that criminals use guns, and I understand that that criminals having guns is a bad thing, and we should want to stop criminals from having guns, and we should try to if we can. But the measures that the liberal side propose to stop this, or to curtail it, or to slow it, or whatever, are actually measures that have nothing to do with criminals whatsoever, because criminals don't get guns from gun shops. I mean, occasionally you'll find some people that do buy guns from gun shops and then go out and do criminal things with them. But usually those are people who aren't planning a crime. They're people who buy a gun and then something happens and then they go crazy and do something. But they didn't go to the gun shop to get a gun to do something criminal. Usually, not always, but usually. So the gun laws that Barack Obama is opposing or proposing are really nothing more than his way to begin the process of eliminating the Second Amendment and creating a United States that's just like a lot of the other countries in the world right now, basically completely helpless. The only people that will have guns will be police officers who are very, very, predisposed to being corrupt, and the military, and the people who guard, the politicians. So those are the people who are going to have guns. And if this happens, if this goes down, so to speak, then the latest thing that really got me thinking about it and got me moving and motivated was when they temporarily took down the Hickock 45 channel on YouTube, because according to what happened, what we found out after it all went down and after Hickock is back up, is that Google says that they can't allow Google ads to be on programs that promote guns. Hickock 45 has been on YouTube for I think 8 years. He's been doing nothing but talking about guns, shooting guns, or firing guns, talking about the inner workings of guns, talking about gun rights, talking about how the politicians need to make changes that will provide more rights for gun owners. He's been doing this for 8 years, and all of a sudden now, for some reason, just out of the blue, Google, which is a very liberal thing. I mean, I watched Google one day. It was right after this whole Supreme Court ruling about gay marriage that supposedly makes everybody that works in government that has anything to do with marrying people criminals if they don't participate in gay marriage. And one of the first thing I saw when I went to Google, to Google that day in YouTube, was a big rainbow and celebrating the rights and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying that gay people won't ever have those rights or whatever, but the Supreme Court is not the one who does that. They don't give people rights. They don't make decisions and make laws. All they can do is make quote unquote moral decisions um, about things, but they can't actually make the laws. But the point I'm making is that Google is very liberal. They're very anything that the liberal side fights for, wins, whatever. Google's always the first one to make it a big deal about it. The rainbows and whatever. And I noticed that one of the days when I came on to YouTube. So it doesn't surprise me that YouTube and Google um, would, go along with the anti-gun feelings and whatever coming from Washington. What does surprise me is that this has been happening on YouTube, not just Hickock 45, but many, many gun promoters, people that love guns, private owners, and just all kinds of people that have anything to do with guns and bullets. And there's a guy that claims to be a Russian that shows off, machine guns and whatever. And it's been going on for 8 years, and it surprises me, or not surprises me, but just makes me think that after 8 years of Hickock 45, all of a sudden he's being banned, and he hasn't committed any crimes, he hasn't done anything illegal, and YouTube was started by people like you and me, basically, to have a channel where people could go and watch real people in everyday settings, talk about things and tell jokes and play music and whatever, talk about whatever they were interested in. And it was supposed to be free for everyone and not restricted except for criminal activities. And it's not a crime to own a gun. It's not a crime to fire a gun. It's not a crime to carry a gun in your pocket or in your purse. It's not a crime to talk about guns, to show how to work guns and how to fix guns and how to clean guns. There's nothing criminal about that at all. So why now, after 8 years of Hickock and after God only knows how many years of all these other people, why now all of a sudden is Google and YouTube saying, hey, Hickock can't be on here? Well, it's because they are allowing themselves, or maybe it's an expressed intent of them, I don't know, but one way or the other, to be manipulated by the same people who are trying to take away the rights of not just gun owners, but people in general. I mean, it starts with things like guns, because guns are kind of a big thing. Everybody says, oh, guns kill people, and this kid shot somebody, and this cop shot a kid, and whatever. And it starts with big things, but then once people get used to the fact that the government, so-called, is stepping in and saying, well, hey, this is bad, so let's do this and let's get rid of this, eventually it's going to be everything. I was reading something the other day about somebody that said something on the internet, and they were censored or whatever, and it wasn't, it's like Barack Obama says, you can't say fire in a crowded building. Well, you can. I mean, granted, it's probably not the best idea, but you can. But free speech is not about saying fire in a crowded building. Freedom of speech is about being able to speak what you believe and think without being afraid of being charged with a crime. Now, if I walked into a police office, police station, and said, I'm about to kill 10 police, then yeah, that's not freedom of speech. That's a crime. That's criminal activity. But if I walked into a police office or a police station and said, I think police are corrupt, and I think that there's a lot of them that need to be punished and thrown in jail, and maybe even executed for crimes. Granted, maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm wrong, but I should have the right to say that if that's what I think. Now, granted, I don't think that. I mean, I do think there are some corrupt cops, but the point is that freedom is being attacked here. It's not just guns; it's freedom. Hickock did nothing wrong. Hickock was not a criminal. Hickock was not doing anything criminal. He was not subversive. He was not saying things that were illegal to say. Matter of fact, there's nothing that you could point out about anything that he was doing that was even slightly criminal, yet he was banned. Now he's back on now because guess what? The public spoke. And the bottom line is for Google right now, especially since they kind of took over YouTube and whatever, the bottom line is money. And Hickock represents a lot of money for that company. As much as their executives and their stockholders and whoever it is that's in charge of things may hate it, the simple fact of the matter is, Hickock represents money, and so maybe money is where we hit these people. Maybe we hit them where they live. Maybe if we take their ability to make money or threaten their ability to make money, huge amounts of money that they're making, maybe that will win the battle. I don't know. One thing we need to do is everybody who is a Christian should be praying, and I won't recommend that people who aren't Christians should pray because I don't believe in their religions and their gods and whatever. But prayer can't hurt. I mean, it may not help if you're not praying to the right God, but it can't hurt. So, I mean, prayer, education, don't sit back and just let things happen. Do something about it. All I'm doing is sitting here in front of my computer with a little camera going and chatting with you. That's probably about all I can do. I don't have a lot of power beyond that, but just the words that I speak. But do whatever you can. Write congressmen, write senators, email Google, and say, hey, you know what? If you don't let Hickock stay on there, if you don't let gun people, do their thing, then we're not going to watch your stuff, and we're not going to look at your ads, and we're not going to buy the things that you're advertising. Hit them where they live. Hit them where they live. But guess what? For now, the public has spoken. YouTube says we don't want Hickock, but then everybody else says, guess what? We do, and you're going to put him back on there, and he's back there. So we won today. Maybe it's just a day, but we won today. But keep fighting. Don't let anyone forget where you stand. Guns or freedom of speech or rights, anything like that, and continue to do the right thing. Continue to live, uprightly. Don't break the law. Don't make threats, but just continue to tell the truth. If you do that, the evil people that are trying to take over this nation will not be able to do so because they're kind of like roaches. When you shine a light on them, they run away. And so that's all I have to say.